winds roar, break the still black night. Steel burns faster than the speed of sight. Flames kiss stars, painting trails above. Gravity whispers, but can't hold love. South Cali ground shakes, break the chain. Rocket climbs higher past the cold disdain. Lights flash, colors in a cosmic haze. Eternal dance in the Milky Way's blaze. Sky ripped open, heaven's glow explodes. A story scrawled in fire where the night erodes. Chasing infinite dreams in the endless expanse. Southern shores watch the rocket's last dance. Dust kicked up on the edge of time. Souls ignite with the engine's grime. Black sky freckles, light pours through. California dreams painted in a fiery hue. Stars collide as fire burns clean through. Moonlight fades in the crimson blue. Reaching out fingers toward the never ending. The rocket's cold message worth defending. Sky ripped open, heaven's glow explodes. A story strolled in fire where the night erodes. Chasing infinite dreams in the endless expanse. Southern shores watch the rocket's last dance.
Wings of stardust, slicing the void. Virginia's heart, where dreams deploy. Galactic whispers in cosmic streams. Hyperspace hymn of neon dreams. Virginia for lovers, beyond the sky. Supernova sparks as we soar and fly. Interstellar hands, your grip so tight. Gliding through universes bathed in light. Plasma highways, bending through time. Your eyes are quarks, they redefine. Nebulous breathing, we're free and untamed. Galactic graffiti, love's always proclaimed. Solar winds push us, we go like fire. Our hearts aligned on a comet's wire. Each hyperspeed kiss.
All right, buddies, ladies and gals, and boys and girls and gentlemen. I don't know what I was gonna say. I'm not sure how the audio is going to sound because my audio got messed up because I had unplugged all my peripherals from my computer and then replug them back in. Oh, actually, that's not what we're doing. Hold on. Scratch that. Starting over the intro.
What does non-binary mean? Non-binary
So,
is an
as a
umbrella
fat
term for
person,
gender identities
I
that
often
are
have one
outside of
coworker
strictly
who
male or female binary.
medical
Pronouns for me. I've called her out every time
Well,
she
I
gets to
personally
me,
identify
and she
with both
just
the male
it's
and female
resigned
gender,
to not
which makes
change.
me
And today just
non-binary. Other
I
examples.
wrap your worries in the breeze, protection from all silly pleas, whispered winds that always please, keep your mind and soul at ease. Bubbles floating in the air, guard your thoughts from liberal flare, invisible yet always there, shield your mind with utmost care. Air condoms so divine, safety in a whisper line, guard against the world's design, feel the freedom in your mind, feeling light and feeling free, shelter from what you don't see, peace of mind is the key, float away carefree. Feeling light and feeling free, shelter from what you don't see, peace of mind is the key, float away carefree. Invisible and oh so strong, keeps you safe from all that's wrong, peaceful tune like a song, join the wise and come along. Air condoms pure delight, defense in softest flight, block the chaos from your side, keep your spirit shining bright, feeling light and feeling free, shelter from what you don't see, peace of mind is the key, float away carefree. Bye.
And we're back. That was my little commercial for the Aircon TV merch store. And select that. Thank you. I'm going to have to put this all the way here if I remember correctly. I'm going to try to speed through this as quickly as possible because I would like to stop editing this video and actually get to something that's more entertaining for everybody. Like, you know, clip montages. But here we are. Alas, we're doing this all over again. Just a little edit and chill kind of stream going for you. I'll go ahead. What is this? We can probably put that right there. I gotta remember where all this ends, but we're gonna finish up this video one way or the other. Either I finish it today, or we just say this video isn't gonna happen. Because I just realized I am not one to review this stuff. I was trying to do my voiceover earlier. Maybe I'm just not in the mood, or I'm in the
Margaritaville at sea.
Actually, speaking of, let's see. We can probably. There. Zoom that in more? Not really. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this one. Yeah, I am not one for voiceovers at all. Now that I have completed that cruise, I found out it is one of the worst cruises in the country, at least for ship-wise, which was the Paradise at Sea. But we have now upgraded, my wife and I, and did our first cruise with Carnival Cruise. This is only going to be our second time ever cruising, so one thing I need to get out. Okay, so I need to get through this. Is that? Okay, that should be better because I kind of cut that off. Carnival Cruise. This is only going to be our second time ever cruising, so one thing I need to get out there is to let you all know we are no expert cruisers by any means or stretch of the imagination. So you guys will have to take this review as stretch of the imagination. So you guys will have to take this review as coming from somebody that is a newbie, a beginner to cruising, if you will. So a lot of this is going to be on our own personal preference and opinions. Obviously, it may vary from person to person, especially if you've cruised quite often and either with Carnival. Probably have like more pictures for that, but that's okay. Go ahead. I need to think of where I'm going to go with this conversation, I guess. I don't have a clue. I should have wrote a script. I didn't take notes. I'm just going off memory. This is part of the reason why I was trying to get this knocked out as soon as possible, so that from person to person, especially if you cruised about quite often and either with Carnival or other cruise lines. Over here, I make all the way over here too, so I can see what I'm doing. Go ahead and start the recording for this. It is not recording because I gotta. Is it seriously gonna make me do that again? It's gonna make me do that again. Absolutely gonna make me do that again. What? Patch. Then it should. Why is it not working now? This was working earlier. Now all of a sudden it doesn't want to work. Is it because I'm recording or streaming? It's not gonna let me use the patch. Patch, is that it? That is not it. Is it just not working or am I just a little special? I'm special. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'm special. I am very special. One. Close that. Try this again. Why is it? That's right. Input. I want that one. Patch. These two with that one. We'll patch. Should be because I gotta hit the record, right? Is that? Yep, that's what I was doing wrong. I'm gonna take this off my head because I hate listening to myself talk. So we're gonna do it like this. Move the mic. Like I said, chat. If my volume is too loud and the stream, let me know. I had to change a lot of my settings today. But here we go. Now that we got those disclaimers out of the way, we're going to go ahead and actually get into the cruise review. I don't want to waste too much time. I don't want this video to be super long, but the first things we're going to talk about is how Carnival handled the boarding process, which I was greatly appreciative of. One of the things we were looking to do is pay for expediting boarding, which I can't remember what it was called for Carnival. I know it's like Fast to Fun, I think, or something like that. But our travel agent talked us out of it. Saying that Carnival's pretty good at boarding people, especially if you show up early, which that's one thing I recommend to do. I learned this from other cruise videos that were watching before we went live. One of them is Life Well Cruised with was it Alana? I can't remember her full name. But we decided to get there as early as possible. The earliest we could be there is at 10 o'clock in the morning. So we got there at 10 o'clock. Actually, we got there around like 9:30. And we were in line about 9:40, 9:45. The most confusing part was getting into parking, but that is more of Tampa's fault, not Carnival's fault. But once we got in line to start our boarding process, it was smooth, it was quick, it was fast, and we were able to just sit down and relax until our group was called to board. Much like airlines, you get called in boarding groups, at least with Carnival. Again, we've only sailed on 2 cruise lines, Carnival being our second. And once we got on board, yeah, we weren't allowed to be in our rooms just yet, but we still had the ability to check out the rest of the ship, as you can see some of these pictures in this video here. We were able to go through and discuss. I'm going to stop right here. Okay. Now I fucked that up. We'll go ahead and edit through. So we're going to go back to here, which will let us stop doing that. I want to bump up the audio to this one where we set it to 19.1. 19.1. That's not what I wanted. I completely dawned on me that I probably need to the cruise review from person to person, especially if you've cruised quite often and either with Carnival or other cruise lines. Now that we got those disclaimers out of the way, we're going to go ahead and actually get into the cruise review. I don't want to waste too much time. I don't want this video to be super long, but the first things we're going to talk about is how Carnival handled the boarding process, which I was greatly appreciative of. One of the things we were looking to do is pay for extra. Slide this down to the right. We're going to be editing a lot out of this video, so don't you guys worry. This video will not be super long or anything like that. Granted, if you guys are watching me edit, you might be like, well, I don't need to watch the video now at all because you guys are too much time. I don't want this video to be super long, but the first things we're going to talk about is how Carnival handled the boarding process, which I was greatly appreciative of. One of the things we were looking to do is pay for expediting boarding, which I can't remember what it was called for Carnival. I know it's like Fast to Fun, I think, or something like that. But our travel agent talked us out of it. Saying that Carnival's pretty good at boarding people, especially if you show up early, which that's one thing I recommend to do. I learned this from other cruise videos that were watching before we went live. One of them is Lifewell Cruise with was it Alana? I can't remember her full name, but we decided to get there as early as possible. The earliest we could be there is at 10 o'clock in the morning. So we got there at 10 o'clock. Actually, we got there around like 9:30. And we were in line about 9:40, 9:45. The most confusing part was getting into parking, but that is more of Tampa's fault, not Carnival's fault. But once we got in line to start our boarding process, it was smooth, it was quick, it was fast, and we were able to just sit down and relax until our group was called to board. Once we got in line to start our boarding process, it was smooth, it was quick, it was fast. I said smooth, quick, and fast. I'm such a great. I'm so good at words is what I was about to say. Yeah, as you can see, I could even struggle to get that out fast, and we were able to just sit down and relax until our group was called to board. Much like airlines, you get called in boarding groups, at least with Carnival. Again, we've only sailed on 2 cruise lines, Carnival being our second. And once we got on board, yeah, we weren't allowed to be in our rooms just yet, but we still had the ability to check out. So we got that. Now we can actually talk along with the video. The intro I should have thought about more, but I did not. So, and once we got on board, yeah, we weren't allowed to be in our rooms just yet, but we still had the ability to check out the rest of the ship, as you can. At least with Carnival, again, we've only sailed on 2 cruise lines, Carnival being our second. And once we got on board, yeah, we weren't allowed to be in our rooms just yet, but we still had the ability to check out the rest of the ship, as you can see in some of these pictures in this video here. Called in boarding groups, at least with Carnival. Again, we've only sailed on 2 cruise lines, Carnival being our second. And once we got on board, probably that out because we're going to start that over again. Why are you doing that? I want to adjust the picture. There we go. And I want to move it all as a group because I don't want to screw up my timeline when it comes to the voiceover. was. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and record the next thing, and I don't want to listen to myself, so we'll take this headset off the back. We'll move it so we make sure the microphone isn't picking it up. Is there noise reduction? Well, there is noise reduction, but is there echo removal? Because there's slight echo. We'll worry about that later. Once we got on board the ship after we did our check-in process, we were able to explore for a little bit. As you can see here, we're actually walking through the shops portion of the ship, which is like, I believe, on deck 3 for Carnival Legend. The shops were pretty cool, pretty neat. We are walking towards our muster station to get assigned our muster station, and then we can make our way to the upper decks of the ship. And the ship, I gotta admit, is very beautiful looking. I was very impressed with the layout and the design of the ship. I know a lot of people I've seen online saying it's a very dated design for the interior of the ship, but I got a kick out of it. I thought it was beautiful, and my wife did too as well. Now that we got that out, media, no, not media, edit. So we will 19.1, 19.1, bump that up. Don't need all of that. Cut that out. Now I'm sure there's far more attractive ships out there for the interior, but we were pretty impressed with Carnival Legend. And as you can see up here, we're on the 9th deck where you can get to the pool and everything else that you could see for the ship with the water slides. We're in the Serenity Lounge, which is where we spent the most of our time on the exterior of the ship, because that's where it was adults only, kids weren't allowed to be there. It was quiet. And the only downside of it, that my complaint was, we were behind the smoke stacks, or I can't remember what the actual correct term of it, but it was pretty filthy back there sometimes with the oil dripping from it. I don't know if that's standard for cruise ships. If you guys cruise more than we do, let us know. I would definitely like to know if that's what to expect if you sit at the back of the ship too much. Overall, we were pretty happy with Serenity Lounge, though. It was our least favorite bar in the ship. The bartenders were really slow. There was a couple of them that looked like probably the only people in the entire ship that looked like they didn't want to be there. But the rest of the crew that we dealt with, they were very happy, very energetic, and they would generally want to have a conversation with you, which we really enjoyed. The drinks were a little lacking in flavor and or strength of alcohol. If you're looking to have stronger drinks, that was definitely not the bar to do that, at least on Carnival Legend. Maybe the Serenity Lounge on other Carnival ships are far more better for that. But overall, we had a good time in Serenity. Edit. The on. Don't need to talk so loud, but oh well, it is. Actually, I do, because I have to bump up the volume so much just to get this to work. All right, so we gotta cut about that much out. Slide that back. Let's make sure that transitions pretty smoothly. Okay, my headset is on correctly, so I don't get too much. Overall, we were pretty happy. I get rid of that. Oh, that down. That together. To let us know. I would definitely like to know if that's what to expect if you sit at the back of the ship too much. Overall, we were pretty happy with Serenity Lounge, though. We do let us know. I would definitely like to know if that's what to expect. We don't need that part in either. Probably cut it right there. So if you guys cruise more than we do, let us know. I would definitely like to know if that's what to expect. Overall, we were pretty happy with Serenity Lounge, though. It was our least favorite. Slide this down. Favorite bar in the ship. They were the bartenders were really slow. There was a couple of them that looked like they probably the only people in the entire ship that looked like they didn't want to be there. Um, but the rest of the crew that we dealt with, they were very happy, very energetic, and they were generally Serenity Lounge. Though the could see for the ship with the water slides. We're in the Serenity Lounge, which is where we spent the most of our time on the exterior of the ship, because that's where it was adults only. Kids weren't allowed to be there, and it was cool legend. And as you can see up here, what's going to throw me off this. You could see for the ship with the water slides. We're in the Serenity Lounge, which is where we spent the most of our time on the exterior of the ship, because that's where it was adults only. Kids weren't allowed to be there, and it was quiet. And the only downside of it, that my complaint was, we were behind the smoke stacks, or I can't remember what the actual correct term of it, but it was pretty filthy back there, sometimes with the oil dripping from it. I don't know if that's standard for cruise ships. If you guys cruise more than we do, let us know. I would definitely like to know if that's what to expect. Overall, we were pretty happy with Serenity Lounge, though. It was our least favorite bar in the ship. The bartenders were really slow. There was a couple of them that looked like they probably the only people in the entire ship that looked like they didn't want to be there. But the rest of the crew that we dealt with, they were very happy, very energetic, and they would generally want to have a conversation with you, which we really enjoyed. The drinks were a little lacking in flavor and or strength of alcohol. If you're looking to have stronger drinks, that was definitely not the bar to do that, at least on Carnival Legend. Maybe the Serenity Lounge on other Carnival ships are far more better for that. But overall, we had a good time in Serenity. The way down over here so we can the adjustments as is. Apply that down here. One thing to point out about the ninth deck is that is the deck where you'll find the Blue Iguana, Red Frog Pub, which is like a grill. We never ate there. We didn't get to eat at Blue Iguana either. It's also where I almost said defect, the military in me is coming out. The buffet is at, as well as Guy's Burgers, which was our favorite place to eat on the ship that was free. And then there's also the deli, which is our second favorite place. And then they had pizza as well. The seafood restaurant was also up there, but that is at an extra price. Blue Iguana, Red Frog, the buffet, the pizza, and the burgers are all free. So if you guys are looking for free food, that's the way to do it. There's also the main dining area, but that's on a lower deck. Hold on, chat. I'm going to be right back. All right, we're back. Edit that, and then we're going to be talking about our rooms on the ship too. So we'll get back into here, edit this. I would play with the equalizer, but I want to. I don't know if this is the same thing. I want a more bassy sound in my voice, but I probably should do that in Firelight, not here. For those who are more familiar with DaVinci Resolve, let me know where that would be that I would like to edit. Overall, we had a good time in Serenity. One thing to point out about the she doesn't even know what she's barking at. She's just barking for the sake of barking. Love that dog, but good lord. The at and military me's coming out. The buffets at, as well as Guy's Burgers, which was our favorite place to eat on the ship, are all free. So if you guys are looking for free food, that's the way to do it. There's also the main dining area, but that's on a lower deck. This is where here I'm giving you guys a quick tour of our little our balcony room. I wanted an ocean view room, a cabin, which is what I originally booked, but our travel agent had contacted me and said we had a free upgrade available. So when she offered a balcony obstructed view, which is what we got, I went for it. The good news is I was able to pick the balcony I wanted, so I could make sure the view wasn't too obstructed. As you can see here, we had the lifeboat right here, right next to our ship, and it blocked the view if you're sitting down, but it didn't block the view if you're standing up. And that's the view of the terminal in Tampa from our room. We hadn't left port yet, but we're going to be leaving shortly. When are we going to play sometime? Hey, Conda, I read your quality review on Battlefield 24, so I bought the game. Read it? There is a massive echo. Like right now? Well, you're hearing echo because of that. Does the echo stop right now, Chad? Or is the echo still there? I read your quality review on Battlefield 2042, so I bought the game. When did I write a review on Battlefield 2042? I don't recall ever doing that. I usually play late on Friday nights if I can get on God. I do not like playing the echo stop. That's why you guys are hearing the echoes, because when I'm in here and recording, I don't know how to make that stop. I don't know if it's that. Does that make it stop? Let me see. Is that, yeah, okay, I don't hear it anymore. So I'm assuming that made it stop for you too. I don't actually like Battlefield 2042. I despise that game. That worked. Okay, thank you, FP. I appreciate it. Again, if you guys are not following FP or Gaming Chad, crappy green pen. Make sure you click the icon next to their names and drop them a follow. What are you guys up to today? How's your Monday going? Lurk, thank you for the lurk, FP. I appreciate you, my man. FP. Names written down now. Now I can keep that headset on, so I don't have to, because I didn't want to listen to myself at all. I really did not want to listen to myself. We don't really need that picture there. I don't even know why I got a picture there. We really need this part. go back to edit. Don't need that in there. Oh, probably do that. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Set up to 19.1. Oh, now I can't hear it. Back because I shut that off. Hadn't left port yet, but we're going to be leaving shortly. I was worried about. We'll just do that though. That works. Got that edited down. I'm gonna mute this one. I don't have to hear it. Okay, here we go. Actually, yeah, speaking of which, as you can see, we're moving out of port right now, and my wife and I decided to go ahead and explore the rest of the ship since we've already moved into our room, which we actually were very pleased with the room. Very clean, very well kept. Our cabin attendant Eris was really good, very friendly, did a lot for us without us really asking for it. So we really appreciate Eris. So somebody from Carnival's listening. Eris on Carnival Legend did a fantastic job at being our cabin attendant. Here is another look at the stores on Carnival ship. They're duty free when you're out at sea. In fact, they're closed when you're in port. We have to wait till we have to be out at sea before they open it up, so we don't have to worry about paying taxes. But they got everything from souvenirs for Carnival. They got some luxury shops for baggage and jewelry and watches. They got candy stores, and they do sales and giveaways and stuff throughout the entirety of the cruise. In fact, I was able to pick up myself an Invictus watch that was on sale, and as well as a limited edition, I guess only available to cruise ships. Like, they don't sell them on their website or anywhere else. Here's another shot of us sailing out to port. We're about to leave Tampa Port right here. And in fact, this is a view from our room. We're looking right over the lifeboat from our room. So the view wasn't that bad. It was an obstructive view. It was a discounted price for what it'd be for a balcony room, but it was a decent view. We didn't have to worry about anything else in our way other than, like I said, if we sat down, we barely saw over the lifeboat. So that was our obstruction. But if you're standing up, you can see everything you want to see, except for obviously if you want to look down, because then you're going to be blocked. But the only thing below us is more water. It only cause an issue if you're looking to watch pier runners and all that stuff. You know what? But we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Talk about our room. Our room was, like I said, we had the way the beds work. They're two twin beds you can push together to make a queen bed, and that's what we asked to do before we checked into our room. The room was pretty spacious. Actually, had quite a bit of storage, but that is not the case for all the rooms on the ship. It completely depends on what kind of room you get, or excuse me, cabin. We definitely took some advice from some YouTubers we watch with using like magnetic hooks to hang stuff up, because the walls and the ceilings are mostly metal. There's a couple areas that it won't be metallic, but the magnets work really well at holding stuff off the floor. as well as giving us additional space to store a lot of our stuff. We also had like a bathroom caddy to store a lot of stuff because the bathroom's pretty tiny. The shower was actually decently sized. Was able to take a shower without bumping into the walls or the curtains. I remember in Margaritaville, that was one of my biggest complaints is I was constantly bumping the walls and the curtain while I was trying to take a shower. But that was definitely not the case in Carnival Legend at all. Okay, so what's the next one? And I need to go back here. Well, I guess I don't. Yeah, I do. I do need so I can. That is 1.1 here. I don't know why it's so quiet. And I mean, I guess I could probably adjust the sliders in Farlight to make it record louder, but I like doing this better. I don't. Maybe I'm just a little retarded, but that's the way I like to do it. So we're gonna go ahead and delete that out. Slide that down. And we're going to go ahead and delete that out. Slide that down. And then slide that down. Moving more footage to make this shorter. I forgot we could do this. As are before. Leave it as is because extend it out a little, the pictures out a little bit. So move these pictures down a little bit. I get to hear myself again. Oh boy. So how am I going to say this? Fair warning, guys. There's no rhyme or reason, or there's very little organization to this video, so we're gonna be hopping over the place. But here is some more shots of the interior of the ship. The first shot was the lobby and the deck 3 of the ship, which was a beautiful lobby, a great bar that had music that was playing behind the bartenders, which I thought was pretty cool. And then the second shot was of Red Frog Lounge, which was our second favorite bar on the ship, and we really, or second or third, second and third were kind of tied together. But it was a fantastic bar. One of our favorite, now our favorite bartender, one of our two favorite bartenders was at Red Frog Lounge. I wish I could remember his name. Unfortunately, I can't. The second favorite bartender was over at the Alchemy Bar, but I'll get into that a little bit more later on in the video. From there, we were actually on our way to our dinner. We had a reservation at 5 o'clock at the 555 Fahrenheit, which is their steak restaurant, which you can see here in the footage of us looking down into the main lobby of the ship. And then here's some couple pictures of us at our dinner. The dinner was delicious. The steak was delicious. It was like $55 per person, and we got steak, lobster, starter, and a dessert. And we also got a complimentary bottle of wine, and this was all on deck 10 of the ship. And we were able to see. I remember somebody told me the name of the bridge here in Tampa as we left Tampa Port and entered the open sea. But this is what our view from the 555 Fahrenheit steak restaurant on Carnival. But like I said, this is not a free dinner. You do have to pay for it. I recommend pay for it before you get onto the ship, because it's a little more pricey if you pay as you get on the ship, and you're not guaranteed a reservation. Same thing with the drink packages. Drink packages are cheaper if you get them before you board the ship. Color code all of these. Here is some more shots of the interior of the ship. The first shot was the lobby. There's no rhyme or reason, or there's very little organization to this video, so we're gonna be hopping over the place. But here is some more shots of the interior of the ship. The first shot was the lobby and the deck 3 of the ship, which was a beautiful lobby, a great bar that had music that was playing behind the bartenders, which I thought was pretty cool. And then the second shot was of Red Frog Lounge, which was our second favorite bar on the ship, and we really, or second and third were kind of tied together. But it was a fantastic, I thought was pretty cool. And then the second shot was of Red Frog Lounge, which was our second favorite bar on the ship, and we really, or second and third were kind of tied together. But it was a fantastic bar, one of our favorite. Now, our favorite bartender. There we go. Oh, bollocks. We'll move this all the way here. One of our two favorite bartenders was at Red Frog Lounge, and I wish I could remember his name. Unfortunately, I can't. The second favorite bartender was over at the Alchemy Bar, but I'll get into that a little bit more later on in the video. From there, we were actually on our way to our dinner. We were with, all right, edit that down all the way. Of all time. From there, we were actually on our way to our dinner. We had a reservation at 5 o'clock at the 555 Fahrenheit, which is their steak restaurant. Which name and drop him a follow. He does a radio style news show every day, as well as some gaming streams later in the afternoon. Specifically on like Wednesday, he does his rubber ducky streams too as well. How you doing, man? How's life treating you? You can see here in the footage of us looking down into the main lobby of the ship, and then here's some couple pictures of us at our dinner. It was the dinner was delicious. The steak was delicious. It was like $55 per person, and we got steak, lobster, starter, and a dessert. And we also got a complimentary bottle of wine. And this was all on deck 10 of the ship, and we were able to see. I remember somebody told me the name of the bridge here in Tampa as we left Tampa Port and entered the open sea. But this is what our view from the 555 Fahrenheit steak restaurant on Carnival. But like I said, this is not a free dinner. You do have to pay for it. I recommend pay for it before you get onto the ship, because it's a little more pricey if you pay as you get on the ship, and you're not guaranteed a reservation. Same thing with the drink packages. Don't happen. I do. We're gonna get rid of the audio for this. We don't need it. Go ahead and do this. Drink packages are cheaper if you get them before you board the ship. I think this will be good. And about need a reservation. Same thing with the drink pack. Out, drop that down. I need to drop that lower. Drink packages are cheaper if you get them before you board the ship. Want that to be the last. This. That out. but you're not guaranteed a reservation. Same thing with the drink packages. Drink packages are cheaper if you get them before you board the ship. On the ship, and you're not guaranteed pricey if you pay, because it's a little more pricey if you pay as you get on the ship, and you're not guaranteed a reservation. Same thing with the drink packages. Drink packages are cheaper if you get them before you board the ship. Stop there. The shorter we can make this video, the better. A lot that we do in here. I gotta turn on my fan. It's getting warm in here already. Oh, okay. Now, this is probably our second or third favorite bar. The reason why I'm a little iffy calling second or third is Red Frog Lounge. I keep saying Lounge for some reason. Let me start that over again. For the most part, Goffo. For the most part, I'm getting it figured out. I'm still not quite there yet. I just today I just figured out how to record voiceover in DaVinci Resolve, but we're getting there. It was a little struggle, little painful for me. Now I just got to figure out how. There's a slight echo. I don't know if you could hear me talking in DaVinci Resolve. I want to see if I can remove that echo, and I want to add a slight more bass to my voice, just to make it sound more crisp and clean. But yeah, we're getting there, though, Goffo. We're getting there. Now here is our favorite, or our second or third favorite bar on the ship. The reason why I'm saying our second or third is I'm not positive which we wanted determined as our favorite. It's our second or third is because Red Frog Lounge was a decent bar, mainly because of the bartender. The only really entertainment we saw in Red Frog was the karaoke night, which we missed on the first night because my wife and I had that steak dinner. And then after the steak dinner, we came here, which was the piano bar. And this is our piano player, Josh. Just like any other piano bar where you get to request songs and he plays it for us. It was a little rough at the beginning. He was a little hard to understand. And he had a lot of like background instruments playing on his laptop. And it kind of drowned his voice out in the music. But then as the night got on, maybe I got drunker or he just got more into the mood because he was actually more energetic and more lively. He was a lot of fun to hang out with. And he was actually really good. His English was a little broken, which is another reason why it was a little harder to understand. But the bartenders are decent here, not that great. This was on deck 4. I believe deck 4. No, this is deck 3. Deck 2 is Red Frog. Red Frog was on deck 2, which is like right below the piano bar. Beside the piano bar is the Hall of Heroes, where they have a dedication to military service men and women, and as well as first responders. And they also have, beside that, is the casino. So that's fantastic. Casino. Everybody loves a good casino. And we don't need to play. Probably, I don't think I'm going to have any of the audio playing in this recording at all. Now that I think about it, like any of the ship's audio, maybe when we do some of the tours, I will, but not like the, well, oh no, we'll just see how we can mix this in. So if we unmute that and then we bump this, I'm gonna definitely have to adjust the volume on what is going. Why is it not let me edit that now? I was able to. Oh, is number lock off? No, it's on. There we go. That's what I was looking. We can remove about that much. Cut down. See how that sounds. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Hold on. You board the ship. Now here is our favorite, or our second or third favorite bar on the ship. The reason why I'm saying our second or third is I'm not positive which we wanted determined as our favorite. it's our second or third, is because Red Frog Lounge was a decent bar, mainly because of the bartender. The only really entertainment we saw in Red Frog was the karaoke night, which we missed on the first night because my wife and I had that steak dinner. And then after the steak dinner, we came here, which was the piano bar. And this is our piano player, Josh, just like any other piano bar where you get to request songs and he plays it for us. It was a little rough at the beginning. He was a little hard to understand, and he had a lot of like background instruments playing. That I don't know if that's too much noise. Hall of Heroes, where they have a dedication to military servicemen and women, and as well as first responders. And probably need to bump that down a little quieter. We'll do. This is deck 3. Deck 2 is Red Frog. Red Frog was on deck 2, which is like right below the piano bar. Beside the piano bar is the Hall of Heroes, where they have a dedication to military servicemen and women, and as well as first responders. Did he do Freebird? They also have, beside that, is the casino. So that's fantastic. Casino. Everybody loves a good casino. They also have, beside that, is the casino. So that's fantastic. Casino. Everybody loves a good casino. I'm gonna go here. Farlight. I'm sure gonna get like a copyright strike on this video because of the piano guy playing, or because of Josh playing. But you know what? Whatever. Fuck you, YouTube. That's what I gotta say. Yes, and I'm well aware there are people on YouTube watching me right now. No, they're not. There's 0 people watching me on YouTube. Shocker. All right. I think now is a good enough time as any to talk about what is available on the rest of the ship as far as like things to do and see. There, like I said, there's the casino, the Heroes Lounge, you have piano bar, alchemy bar, Red Frog Lounge, or it's not the lounge. I kept calling it the lounge, but it's actually the pub, Red Frog Pub, and then Serenity Lounge, which is where that was the only bar on the top of the ship, I believe. I think maybe Red Frog. I thought that was a place to eat, but maybe they served alcohol up there. Honestly, again, don't know. Never went to the 9th deck to drink, other than for Serenity, so I didn't know a whole lot about that one. And then you also have an arcade. There is a daycare of sorts for kids where they get to play with other kids and they're watched by the crew, so the parents can enjoy having some alone time and actually get to enjoy some of the evening events, because they kept that place pretty open late. And then you had the theater, which is at the very front of the ship. What was that theater called? I can't remember the name of the theater right now. That's embarrassing. I'll probably annotate it somewhere on this video. Then we also had the comedy club, which was the Firebird Lounge, which is at the very bottom of the ship, deck 1 in the front. We only went there one night. The comedian was pretty funny. It was they only do like 30-minute shows, so we weren't really there all that long. And here is a good shot from the back of the ship. This is our first day at sea. This is after our first night inside the ship, and my wife and I decided to explore the ship a little bit. Thought this was a pretty cool shot of us sailing out in the Gulf of America, of all places, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely, I will always call it the Gulf of America. But it was beautiful. My wife was kind of blown away about not being able to see land in any direction. Neither of us really experienced that, at least not from the ocean. I've experienced it from a plane. Like I said, this is the Heroes Tribute, where I think I said Hall of Heroes, but it's the Heroes Tribute. I guess the CEO of Carnival, her dad was in the military, and she has a lot of love and respect for the military, so she likes to play tribute to them. They actually have a military appreciation night where they have anybody that's actively serving or a veteran to come out and tell their story inside the theater, which again, I forgot the name of the theater. The theater is where a lot of events happen, like Deal or No Deal. They had their different shows. They had, speaking of shows, this is one of them right here. This is one of the worst shows. It was the most disappointing, sad show I saw on the ship. This is their 80s night put on by the performers of the ship, and the music was lacking. There was no live music. It was just live vocals, and the vocals were a little rough. And the choreography they did made absolutely no sense with the songs they were singing. And I can't remember what song this one is because I can't hear it right now. I believe this is Journey, but I'm mainly going to show these clips to show how confusing and I was disappointed. I told my wife, I said, maybe I just wasn't drunk enough to enjoy the show. It was very, very unimpressive. I was not thrilled at all. What's up, Wolverine? How you doing? If you guys are not following Wolverine, make sure you click the icon next to his name and drop him a follow. How's your Monday going so far? Trump needs to make Free Bird the national anthem before the Olympics. I doubt that will ever happen. Oh, got Wolverine written down now. I'm going to go ahead and cut this up a little bit. Actually, you know what? Now, later on the cruise, the cast did a little better. We only went to one other show with the cast actually performed, and that was their, it was Flick was the name of the show, and then basically they just sang and danced to theme songs from different movies from throughout generations, basically, and they weren't super, it wasn't like wow, awe-inspiring, but it was a lot of fun, a lot of member berries, and I was definitely had a couple more to drink, so it was a little more enjoyable for me at that point. So I don't know if it was more enjoyable because the alcohol or more enjoyable because I think it was a far better production. A lot of the choreography, again, my biggest complaint about both these shows is the choreography was a little there's a couple times it did make sense. There's a couple times it seemed incredibly forced, especially during this show, the 80s show. It felt like I told my wife it's like Napoleon Dynamite dancing for the talent show mixed with the parkour scene from not Parks and Rec, The Office. And that's the best way I can describe the choreography for this. And again, I don't know if I'm just a grumpy old millennial or I just wasn't drunk enough, but that's just how it felt and looked to me. I mean, you guys can see for yourself right here. Going good. Took the day off from work to register my truck at the DMV. Fuck the DMV. That's another theft, is the registration taxes on our vehicles. That's for sure. I forgot to... so I can actually hear the audio. Because I'm definitely, I think I get it. What was the song playing this? My first day back to work was just a debriefing meeting. Debriefing about what? The end of the world, sir? Was it the end of the world? One. Go ahead. Unlink this. Wait, actually, hold on. Let's see. Shot from the back of the ship. This is our first day at sea. This is after our first night inside. Audio in here. We can get rid of that audio. Tribute. More shots from the ship. With theater is where a lot of events happen, like Deal or No Deal. They had their different shows. They had, speaking of shows, this is one of them right here. This is one of the worst shows. It was the most disappointing, sad show I saw on the ship. This is their 80s night put on by the performers of the ship, and the music was lacking. There was no live music. It was just live vocals, and the vocals were a little rough. And the choreography they did made absolutely no sense with the songs they were singing. I can't remember what song this one is because I can't hear it right now. I believe this is Journey. But I'm mainly going to show these clips to show how confusing and... I was disappointed. I told my wife, I said, maybe I just wasn't drunk enough to enjoy the show. It was very, very unimpressive. I was not thrilled at all. I think is what I did, right? Or is that too low? No, that's right. Night put on by the performers of the ship, and the music was lacking, and the show's journey. No, that's too much. Oh, and then basically they just sang and danced to theme songs from different movies from throughout generations, basically, and they weren't super. It was. Like wow awe-inspiring, but it was a lot of fun, a lot of member berries, and I was definitely had a couple more to drink, so it was a little more enjoyable for me at that point. So I don't know if it was more enjoyable because the alcohol, or more enjoyable because I think it was a far better production. A lot of the choreography, again, my biggest complaint about both these shows is the choreography was a little eh. There's a couple times it did make sense. There was a couple. Flick was the name of the show, and the cast did a little better. We only went to one other show at all. Now later on the we'll take that out and start that over. That out. Hide that down. Okay. At this point in the show, this is probably one of the most bizarre examples of what I could not understand about the choreography of this song, or even the visuals for that matter. This song is Living on a Prayer, and they were trying to get the audience to sing the chorus with them, and like 3 or 4 people are singing. When you fail to get the audience to sing Living on a Prayer with you, you're doing something wrong. You don't have the energy right. Your vocals are, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just being hypercritical, but good Lord, I was embarrassed for them because like nobody was singing the song. Every time I've gone to a performance of any kind that had Living on a Prayer playing, everybody in the crowd was singing and they were loud. They were loud people, but you could tell who were the most drunk because they were the loudest in this group. Now, later on in the cruise, they did have another show called Flick, but we'll talk about that more because I have it. I'm going to show a little bit of it later on in this video. Wait, unmute. Got it. It's part of this video. Is this our first excursion? Yes. I guess this isn't really a review, just me talking about our cruise and our experience, and people can make their own decisions if they want to be listen to it or not. Actually, hold on. Undo. You know what? No. We'll go back to what we're doing. We're gonna do this. How short we made this video some more. It's an hour and 14 minutes. A little over an hour and 14. So we're getting it smaller and smaller. Giggity. This is a better video. Link this because we don't. Oh, fuck. Undo. And we can do that. Unlink. Audio in here. Audio either. Now that we got our first night on the ship, this is actually us in the early mornings out at Cozumel, which is an island off the coast of mainland Mexico, in case nobody knew that. But in case you did know that, well, here it is. This is us in Port in Cozumel. Here, my wife and I actually had to take a ferry to the mainland of Mexico because it was our first excursion, our first day in Mexico. We were going to Xcaret. I probably butcher that name. It is the best way I can describe it, a theme park with a zoo attached, an aquarium attached to it. You could do all kinds of different things there. It was actually pretty neat to hang out and see everything that was going on there. We didn't have a whole lot of time to see everything, but I'll go ahead and give you a brief review of what was available to be done there if you ever find yourself there. This is us just walking to our bus after our ferry made it to shore from at the piers. Edit. Oh, overall, my wife and I really enjoyed our time in Cozumel, Xcaret specifically. Obviously, that's the only thing we pretty much did in Cozumel. The only thing the only complaint I would have about it, if you're doing this as an excursion for the cruise, we only had 3 hours to basically enjoy the park. The excursion was an all day thing because it took about 3 hours to get from the ship to where we needed to be for the park. So keep that in mind if you decide to do this, depending on your cruise line, I guess, in the ship. I know with Carnival, we're supposed to be back on ship by 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's what cut us down so quickly into our time in Xcaret. But the park was pretty neat. They have different shows, different Mayan shows. They have different restaurants that cook traditional Mayan food. Um, they had a massive gift shop too that was pretty neat. The park was beautiful. It was clean. The first thing my wife and I did, and I recommend to anybody if you do this excursion to Carnival, is the underground river. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how good of a swimmer you are and how quick you want to rush through it. They do have ropes on the side to help you get through it, but it was pretty neat. Yeah, you got to see some pretty sights. You get to swim. There's some fish, reef fish that will be swimming. I guess I don't know if they're really considered reef fish. There's like some parrotfish, sergeant majors, and a couple other fish I didn't personally recognize that we saw along the way. My wife's actually least favorite part of this excursion were the bats. When we made it to one of the underground parts of the river that flew over her head, she did not appreciate that at all. But it was a very relaxing um, float down the river. The water was actually not that bad. She gets cold easily. She actually said she wasn't cold at all during this excursion. Keep in mind, we did this at the beginning of April, so it's still springtime. I don't know how warm Cozumel and the water in that area usually gets around this time of year, so look that up if you're worried about things being too cold. I need to cut that down quite a bit. What's the next thing? We have like several. We can cut this out. But the down here. Link that. Bump up the volume on this. We only need like one clip of us being underwater or underground, so we'll move that over here now. The clip of underwater. Like this over here. I want to get a couple shots of the fish. Here's one of the fish right there. There's a sergeant major right there. And then we'll just do a little bit into here. Can you actually read that? I don't know if you're going to be able to read that. But we'll go ahead and cut that part out. Don't really think there's a whole lot. Yeah, there's a lot of underwater or underground stuff, so it was pretty dark to see. So we'll go ahead and delete all that. Link that out. Take that out. And then we're going to get this. We'll go ahead and get rid of a lot of this too. I just threw all the clips in there so I could take the footage I actually want to use, because I knew at the end of the day I was going to, because I would ideally not want this video to be more than 30 minutes. I really don't. Rid of this part. That. I would like bladder striking again. That out. I wonder if we see any. You know what? We can probably. Right here. Probably get rid of that. And just getting us in front of the Eshkarat sign. Didn't really get to see any fish. We'll do it to. Oh, right there. Some fish right there. So, all right, chat. I'm going to use the bathroom real quick, and then we're going to do some more recording. But before we do that, actually, let's move all that down. On the video is now that we removed a big chunk of this. There's still a lot more to remove from this. We're at what? 22 minutes? Yeah, we're down to. Oh, wow. I was off with that. We're over 2 hours. We're almost 2 hours and 25. How are you doing, Conda? I'm doing all right, FP. I appreciate you asking. I started my first day of Skill Bridge. Had to do some project management certification courses today and some job hunting. So a little stressful, a little overwhelming, but we got through it. We're still here. We're still alive. We're still breathing. How you doing, man? I'm going to ask that question, and I'm going to go take a leak because I really got to take a leak. But I hope you're doing well, too. So how are things going for you? How was your weekend? Good. Glad to hear it, FB. Really glad to hear it. Oh, I need to finish this. Here. Unmute that. Keep it muted. I don't want to hear myself. Now, even though you can see that Sergeant Major right there, I promise this is not why I call this park kind of like an aquarium. You'll see why. Well, actually, no, you won't, because I didn't have any. I did have pictures of it, but I didn't have any videos of the aquarium side of things. The only pictures I really have of the aquarium side is there's an area with sharks and manatees that you get to check out. Oh, and some sea turtles. I can't remember if I include those pictures in here too or not. But the actual indoor aquarium they had, I ended up deleting the pictures because they were all dark and blurry, so that I didn't keep them. So I don't have those in here. But I promise you, there's an actual aquarium at this park. It's not just the little fishies we see in the water. here, these are the workers of Eshkarat. They're lifeguards, make sure everybody's getting through the river just fine without any issues. Nobody's getting exhausted. I mean, you have to go with a life vest, so if you get yourself hurt or anything, that I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're just really out of shape and you can't make it, but there are different areas to get off if you don't want to swim all the way. Like, this is one of those early exit places, but it basically tells you you're near the end. There's no reason for you to stop now. And so you can kind of swim through the mangroves right here. Here. One. Hanging in there. Is there everything okay? You're hanging in there? Are things getting a little rough? Hope everything's all right. You know what? No, we'll have that in the summary. I was going to actually talk about my opinion as on cruises as a vacation as a whole. Probably talk through like parts of flicks or flicks. Oh, I can't remember now. Oh, okay. You saying you're hanging in there? You had me concerned. I thought something was going on, man. I'm just checking on you, just trying to make sure you're okay. Did my headset seriously just die on me? Oh, you know why it died on me? Because there's been no audio. We'll just leave it on for aesthetics for now, and then I'll turn it back on when I actually need to listen to what I'm editing. I'm doing pretty good with the gaps. Learning to talk quicker once I hit record, so that's good. This is my wife and I actually getting to the end of the Underground River tour. Like I said, it takes about 45 minutes. I think it took us about 35 to 40 minutes to get through this part of the river, or get through this part of the park. It literally takes you from the beginning of the park to the ocean side of the park. So if you are looking to chill at the beach all day while you're at the park, because I believe they also have bars there and they got places to eat, this is a pretty cool way to do it. You literally just hop in the river and float all the way down, get out there. You got your showers and where you pick up your gear. That's one thing I forgot to mention. If you got anything that you don't want in the river because you don't want to get ruined, whether it's change of clothes or any electronics, they got free bags that they lock up and then give you the key to take with you when you float down the river. And when you get to the end of the river, you pick up your bags and you can unlock the bag to get your stuff out of it. Now, I did put my phone in that bag, and he almost didn't let me do it, but he basically said if I'm going to put the phone in the bag, I have to put it in myself. So that way, if it get damaged, I only have myself to blame for it getting damaged inside the bag. And at that point, like I said, it's my fault. Which I was like, you know what, cool, whatever, that's fine with me. But I don't know if they're gonna be that cool with you, depending on how busy the park with, or who are the people working there at the time. But keep that in mind if you decide to do this at Eshkarat, that if you have your cell phone, I recommend a waterproof case and or bag to take with you as you float down the river. I'm using a GoPro to film all of this. This is another part of the park. My wife wanted to feed the manatees. Apparently, they only do that one day a week, and we were there for the wrong day of the week. And this is a part I was excited about, was the jaguars, and I was really looking forward to looking at the jaguars, but they just got them in, and they were still getting adjusted to the environment, so they weren't very willing to poke their heads out for everybody to see. So that made me kind of sad, but it is what it is. I understand. And then, like I said, that was like the zoo part of it all. All right, now we're gonna edit that and bump that up to 19.1. Extend our pictures just a little bit. Making dinner and lurking. Well, I appreciate the lurk, dude. I really do appreciate. What's for dinner tonight? Delicious. I'm burping up some fish tacos. I probably shouldn't have done that right in the mic. My bad, guys. I need to be more gentlemanly. Like, I am really getting scatterbrained and forgetting what I'm doing. Slide that down this way. That can go here. Actually got to go back into Farlight to unmute that. GoPro to film all of this. The headset died. I was like, why am I not hearing myself? You guys don't hear it through there. Cell phone, I recommend a waterproof case and or bag to take with you as you float down the river. I'm using a GoPro to film all of this. This is another part of the park. My wife wanted to feed the man. Apparently they only do that 1 day a week, and we were there for the wrong day of the week. And this is a part I was excited about, was the jaguars, and I was literally looking forward to looking at the jaguars, but they just got them in, and they were still getting adjusted to the environment, so they weren't very willing to poke their heads out for everybody to see. So that made me kind of sad, but it is what it is. I understand. And then the weekend, this is a part I was excited about, was the jaguars, and I was literally looking forward to looking at the jaguars, but they just got them in, and they were still getting adjusted to the environment, so they weren't very willing to poke their head. Got in for sound. Oh, it's still playing. Why are you still playing? Stop. In the name of love. That's about there. Made beef stew earlier, and now we're just finishing up a phyllo dough tomato and I am cheese crostini. What's a crostini? I don't know what any of that is, actually. I know what a beef stew is earlier. Now just finishing up a phyllo dough tomato. What's a phyllo dough tomato? Oh, wait. That's the whole thing. Phyllo dough tomato and pecorino. I'm butchering that. Cheese crostini. What is that? I have never heard of that before.
Look how tall they are.
My wife and I actually thought this part was pretty cool. We've seen flamingos in the wild, or not in the wild, but you know, in public before at SeaWorld and other parks, but we never saw them walking amongst humans or humans. Okay. All right. Hello, fellow Earthling. I'll take a picture and DM it to you. I would appreciate that. Thank you. I'm all about learning new foods to make. From what I hear, you're a pretty fantastic cook, so. All right, here we go. My wife and I actually thought that was pretty cool. We were actually making our way to the aviary from the jaguar enclosure, and we got to see some flamingos walking around, which we've seen them before at different parks, but never walking around with people like this before. So it was pretty neat to see that. Now, this part of the park is a actual cemetery, which is between where we wanted to go and the aviary. So it was interesting, get a little taste of Mexican culture and how they look at death differently than us Americans do. So it was like a big mountain you can walk up, and they had like different, you know, tributes to the family members that were buried there. Here, edit that, up that. I need to add the here. My wife and I actually thought that was pretty cool. We were actually making our way to the aviary from the jaguar enclosure, and we got to see some flamingos walking around, which we big mountain you can walk. I'm gonna let these stay about the same length, and just know a big portion of this is all gonna be the aviary, and just talk all the way through. Talk as much as I want about the aviary, and then we can clip out what I don't use from the videos. There's not a whole lot for the videos, just a couple things. So we'll just this real quick. All I have of the aviary, right? What's this one? No, this is aviary 2. What is this? I'm gonna have to cut a lot of this. There's no way I'm gonna be able, because this is a huge portion of this video is all this. Uh, Now we finally got to the aviary where we got to see different types of macaws and parrots and other local birds to Mexico. This is honestly my wife and I's favorite part of this park. Now there could have been some other parts we would thought would be our favorite, but we didn't have time to get it to it all. Like I said earlier at the beginning of talk about this excursion, but the birds were actually beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You can get up close to them. You're not allowed to touch them or handle them in any way, but you like this one specifically was feeling very pretty and want to be very photogenic for my wife. So he was posing for her and making himself look all beautiful and whatnot. So we thought that was pretty cool. But it was like a 3-leveled aviary. You could start at the top, which is where we're at here, and then make our way down to the bottom, where the ducks and all the other waterfowl were. There's some pretty ugly birds there right here, actually. Speaking of which, that were very mean to people. They were trying to snip at them as they walked by. But like I said, this was absolutely our favorite part. This was another macaw that just kind of fell in front of my my wife, and we don't know if they clip their wings intentionally so they can't fly, or if these are rescues, because there's a lot of bird rescues on the way to the park. So we don't know if these are rescues that can't make it in the wild anymore, so they keep them here to help keep them alive and stuff. So as you can see, if he can fly, he's being lazy and refusing to fly and just climbing up the rocks and stuff. The Shortly after this, we basically we walked around and saw a couple other creatures throughout the park. Don't worry, guys. There's actually a lot of footage and pictures from this part of the excursion. This is probably part of the trip that we took the most pictures and videos of. I plan to do another video. It's just be like an instrumental video where you hear music and stuff, and I'll have different videos and pictures from our trip. This is just me going over a trip. I was gonna give it a review, like I'm saying, kind of a cruise connoisseur, but in reality, I don't know what I'm talking about. I didn't write a script, so I'm just talking my way through our trip, and to let you guys know what we were going on, why we were gone for so long. We'll go back here. Sure, because I just realized I kind of talked as soon as it. Now we've learned how they look at death differently than us Americans do. So it was like a big mountain you can walk up, and they had like different, tributes to the family members that were buried there. Now we finally got to the aviary where we got to see different types of macaws and parrots and other local birds. That wasn't too bad. I want to get, him right there. We'll do that. And then we'll probably bump it right there. Cut this bit out. Let's see. Our trip. This is just me going over a trip. I was going to give it a review, like I'm saying, kind of a cruise connoisseur, but in reality, I don't know what I'm talking about. I didn't write a script, so I'm just talking my way through our trip, and to let you guys know what we were going on. I'm saying, kind of a cruise connoisseur, but in reality, I don't know what I'm talking about. Creatures throughout the park. Don't worry, guys. There's actually a lot of footage and pictures from this part of the excursion. This is probably part of so as you can see, if he can fly, he's being lazy and refusing to fly and just climbing up the rocks and stuff. Don't get too close. He might try to use you to. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the audio. This clips. Bump that out. We're gonna delete that. Slide that down. Shortly after this, we basically we walked around and saw a couple other creatures throughout the park. Look on the bottom right. Don't worry, guys. There's actually a lot of footage and pictures from this part of the. We'll cut this bit out and delete that. Doesn't matter if I mess with the volume of that. We're gonna go ahead and delete that. Slide that down. Version. This is probably part of the trip we took the most pictures and videos of. I plan to do another video. It's just be like an instrumental video where you hear music and stuff, and I'll have different videos and pictures from our trip. This is just me going over a trip. I was gonna give it a review. Hold on, something just happened. Sorry about that. I thought I heard my wife scream. I don't know what I heard, but I heard something. So we're gonna go back. Was it in the video? From our trip. This is just me going over a trip. I was gonna give it a review like from our trip. This is just me going over a trip. I was gonna give it a review. It's in this video. What? Hold on. Is it? Oh, that's what I heard. I don't know what that is. And we're actually going to leave the water sound in to sound so tranquil and relax. I really see how that's the mix sounds. Just in videos of. I plan to do another video. We'll keep that in there. Video will just be like an instrumental. I do. Here. Fill up that gap. What is this? You know, we can tape here. We'll keep him in there. We keep that in there too. We do one lap, 2 laps. One.
I'm gonna get out of walking
And cut that out. Trying to get that. Take out the audio. What's this? Do we need this in here? Or we can make this better. Oh, there's one of those one of the shows I was talking about. The other shows that we actually more enjoyed, but that right there. Excuse me. So the reason why I took off earlier, guys, I heard that screech. I don't know if it was a bird or a woman in that video. It wasn't my wife, but for some reason I thought I was hearing my wife scream, but it was actually the video that was hearing, and I didn't realize that was in there, and it caught me off guard. So that's fun. Here's another aspect of the park that maybe get that zoo feel. A little tapir chilling right there. Then right here, you see one of the many shows they did throughout the park. It's the only show we got to see, or display, if you want to call it that, because we didn't have time to do it. And they also, I don't know if this is a Mayan ruin mock-up or an actual Mayan ruin. And I promise you, like I said, more aquarium stuff. This is a nurse shark, which you can actually pay to swim with the nurse sharks and stingrays and stuff. This is one of the handlers just feeding them. And here's my lovely wife next to a Mayan. And we also got to see some spider monkeys just chill. Oh, no, these were howler monkeys. I'm sorry, howler monkeys. Fortunately, they were not howling, but they were climbing through the trees here. So it's a lot to see and do here. And if we just wish we had more time to do it. As you can see, this is the end of the day, so plenty of sunlight. But we have to get back on board the ship because they sail on a tight schedule and they have to leave at a certain time. And they will, in fact, leave you behind unless you pay for excursion through the cruise line, which all our excursions were through the cruise line, which we found out was very good that we did that. And I'll explain that actually after, and basically shortly, not far after this clip, because we'll have our second excursion, which was in Belize. This is the Carnival Legend next to the Carnival Valor. I can't remember how much bigger I mean, it looks massive compared to the Legend, but I can't remember how much further on the scale it went for Carnival's fleet. With the Royal Caribbean and Princess had a couple ships in port too. Don't think I got a picture of them, but yeah, here's our ship, the Legend. And then this is all of us making it back to our ship. A lot of people stayed in port just shopping and eating and enjoying the time on the beach there. But again, if you're not back on ship on time, they will leave you. And this is one of the many shows that we got to enjoy. This is one of our favorite nights, was the Deal or No Deal night. Now, actually, at this point, my wife had already gone to bed. What had happened during our cruise, unfortunately, a member of the cruise had a medical emergency, which resulted in us having to divert back to Cozumel to have them evacuate to a hospital, which made us lose about an hour and a half in our trip because we already had been at sea for about an hour and a half. And they told us because of this, it meant we were going to be incredibly delayed getting into port in Belize the next day. So a lot of our excursions were moved, and I was staying up late, which actually was a lot of fun because I also got to check this guy out playing some music behind the main lobby bar. This is in the center of the ship on the third deck. This bar actually was a lot of fun. It probably could have been one of my top bars if I spent more time there. But we didn't spend that much time here. He was pretty good at the guitar. We were back in Cozumel at this point, and I was already got the new times for our excursion to Belize, which was to see the Mayan ruins at Xanentinish. I believe I said that correctly. I know it's spelled with it starts with an X, and they said in Mayan the X is pronounced like SH, so it's like Xanentinish. I think that's more accurate. The bartender was super friendly. Like all the bartender and crew on Carnival were absolutely very accommodating, very friendly. Like I said, there's like one or two at Serenity. They weren't mean or rude or jerks, or they just seemed like they were not thrilled to be there, and they like you're inconveniencing them when they took your order. But there was only those two. The rest of everybody in the crew were very happy and welcoming, and I enjoyed spending time on that ship. Like I said, Carnival cruises. Well, I might have said this in past streams or videos, but cruises are becoming quickly my favorite vacation, and maybe my go-to vacation when I get away from everything. One of my favorite drinks here was the Twilight Zone, if I remember correctly. It was absolutely delicious, very fruity, very sugary, but it was delicious, and they definitely put some packed a punch with it too. So I was feeling pretty good after this night, after exploring the ship after hours. Gonna move back over here, bump this up to 1. That link, knock him down to probably 40. See how that sounds. Were moved, and I was staying up late, which actually was a lot of fun because I also got to check this guy out playing some music behind the main lobby bar. This is in the center of the ship on the third deck. This bar actually was a lot of fun. All right, so we can probably cut that bit out. What is this? Oh, this is the 80s and glow. This is us getting to Belize. We'll probably knock this down to -35 as well, so people can hear the music playing. Go ahead and start the recording here. Before I start talking about this clip, I want to stop. Don't stop leaving. Fuck. What did I do? One thing I forgot to mention during that Deal or No Deal clip, that was our cruise director, Adam. He was from Australia. It was a lot of fun. He was our wake-up call every morning. And I got to say, he's probably having a time of... I don't know how he does it, though. He starts up at the crack of dawn, and he's up till late at night running the shows. He probably takes naps for the day. But he has energy that I would absolutely kill to have. But he was a lot of fun to be entertained by. His whole purpose is to make sure the guests on the ship are having a good time, having a lot of fun. The entertainment is on point. Speaking of which, this is one of the entertainments you can see. They do a lot of deck parties. This one was the 80 Rock and Glow on the main in the center of the ship on the 9th deck, right beside the main pool. They also do a lot of movies, dive-in movies, so you can sit in the pool and watch the movies on this deck here. Behind on the right side, that's where you see the Blue Iguana, which is like a Mexican cantina place that was free to eat at. And on the left is Guy's Burger, which is was delicious, on point. Is like you build your own burger, and it was delicious. That's also free. And be on the opposite end of Guy's Burger is where the Red Frog pub was. And again, I don't remember if they serve food. They probably just serve drinks. Vote. .1. I hate when it does it. One. How he does it though, he starts up at the crack of dawn and he's up till late at night running the shows. He probably takes naps for the day, but he has energy that I would absolutely kill to have. But he was a lot of fun to be entertained by. His whole purpose is to make sure this is one interesting fact about cruise ships, specifically talking about eating my own tongue in the process. One interesting fact, well, you know, that I spoke way too soon there. One interesting fact about Carnival Legend, they had over 60 nationalities on the ship, and you actually had an opportunity to meet or hear about those nationalities on our final day at sea. We did not do that because they had a lot going on. We had different things we wanted to do, so we were not able to catch that portion of the ship. But if you find that kind of thing interesting, I definitely recommend you check it out. That was in the theater, which is where you actually saw that Deal or No Deal clip at. Now, this is our excursion in Belize. We're walking through the port. We had to walk from where our ferry docked at to the one of the main terminals to get to our bus for our 3-hour bus ride. This was a fantastic excursion, mainly for what we actually were there for. My wife said the food was a little lacking. Actually, I got to kind of agree. The chicken had little to no flavor. The rice and beans actually weren't as bad as she says it. Well, at least to me, they weren't that bad. She didn't like them at all. And my favorite was the macaroni salad with cilantro in it. It was supposed to be like a traditional Mayan meal, because we were going to here, Xanintinish, the Mayan ruins. It's one of the, I think it's the second largest Mayan ruins on the Yucatan Peninsula. I'm not positive on that. I'll have to look that up to confirm. I vaguely remember our tour guide telling us this. I was in awe of the whole thing. We actually got to climb to the top, which was really cool, and I had a lot of fun doing this. Again, so this is why I was saying booking through the cruise is a good idea. We booked through Carnival, and because we were late to get into port today, we were late getting out to the ruins, which means we weren't back to our ship to about 10 o'clock at night. And if we didn't book through Carnival, they would have left us in a heartbeat. But good thing is we did book through Carnival, and here's us making our way back to the ship from our ferry. The Belize is I can't remember what the name of the port is, but it's a specific port that you need a ferry to get you to and from, because usually the port doesn't have a pier built big enough for the cruise ships to make it into, or in our case, the water was way too shallow for the cruise ships to make it in, so they had to drop anchor off the coast, and we had to have a ferry ride in, which is another reason why we're late to get back there. But the ruins at Xanintinish, which I will provide more pictures in that other video I was referring to, was a lot of fun. It was an awesome experience. I got to see Ziggurat in Iraq when I was deployed out there. It was also the first known area of civilization. And then I got to do, on my final year of my military service, I got to go to a Ziggurat in Belize. So that was a lot of fun. A good way to wrap up my career, I would say. Right here is our 4th day. This is our, because we had, no, this is a 4-day. But anyway, it's our fourth or fifth day. It's our fourth day. We're in Costa Maya now. This one was our shortest excursion through um, Carnival. We did a little snorkeling trip. It was margaritas and snorkeling. My wife loved the margarita portion of it. She absolutely hated the snorkeling. We joked that I tried to drown her out there. It was only a little 3-hour excursion, which actually worked to our advantage because we got to actually see a lot of Costa Maya. Well, not we didn't get to see a lot of Costa Maya. We got to explore the port and grab some food, which was delicious, and get a few drinks, and then do a little gift shopping while we were here. We're gonna go ahead and cut. I need point one. We're almost done, chat. We're almost done with this video. Actually, I probably can wrap this up a lot sooner. We'll just do a couple clips of the snorkeling event. So here we do probably go ahead and cut this part out. This was a little area right where we were waiting in line to get on board our bus to go out snorkeling. They had a little mine display there, which was really cool to watch. They were taking pictures with the cruise goers that were getting off the ship. This is us riding our ferry out to the snorkeling site. That's our ship, the Carnival Legend, in the distance. You also can see one of Royal Caribbean's biggest ships. It's not their bigger ships. It's one of their biggest ships. Behind it, I can't remember what it's Harmony of the Sea. That's right. It was Harmony of the Sea. It's not their biggest ship, but it's one of their bigger ship. Now, our snorkeling team was an actual awesome, fantastic group of guys to be with. They were a lot of energy, a lot of fun, cracked some jokes, had a good time with them. They would not going to leave you out stranded in the ocean. They did everything they could to make sure we were going to have a good time. I didn't get to see that many fish. The reason why I don't have any video clips of the fish I did see because I was retarded and I put the GoPro on top of my snorkel but did not angle it properly, so it stared straight down at the bottom of the ocean. So you were not able to see what I was seeing unless it was right below me. So that will not be included in any of the videos, unfortunately, because I was not smart about it. But again, other than my wife feeling like I was trying to drown her on this excursion, it was a lot of fun. These guys, like, a lot of energy, very entertaining. The margaritas, they were definitely pre-mixed. They were like store-bought pre-mixed margaritas. They also had tequila sunrise, and I can't remember what the third no, it wasn't Sex on the Beach. I can't remember what the third drink was. And they just had some regular juices available if anybody wanted a juice, if they weren't drinkers or they were not of age to drink. We were off the coast of it was the second largest reef. Obviously the Great Barrier Reef in Australia is the largest reef, but this is the second largest. We had to be very careful about where we were swimming and what we got near. We weren't allowed to obviously touch the animal and plant life because for those who don't know, coral reefs are very fragile. I had a lot of fun on this excursion. It was definitely exhausting because I'm definitely out of shape, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would like to be more in shape the next time I do it. But my wife, she would rather we never do this again. So if I do this again, I'm gonna be soloing it. At least she said she wants swimming lessons before she does it again. She doesn't know how to swim. I was thinking she would be fine, but the waters were a bit rough, and that freaked her out a little bit. Understandably so, because the waves pushed her back and forth at times, making it harder for her to keep up with everybody. Even though even I was wearing a life vest because it's been a long time since I swam. So I knew I couldn't just swim without a life vest, or I probably would have been exhausted and drowning myself, or taking forever to get back with a group, which I definitely did not want to do. And edit that up. I don't know if we'll have the audio for when video where it's just going to be showing off everything. We're probably not going to do, we'll do some stuff on the ship. All right, so we're going to cut it. I can't remember what it's Harmony of the Sea. That's right. It was Harmony of the Sea. It's not their biggest ship, but it's one of their bigger ship. Now our snorkeling team was an actual, it's Harmony, not their biggest ship, but it's one of their bigger ship. That out. Enough of the ship. This out. I'll leave you out stranded in the ocean. They did everything they could to make sure we were going to have a good time. I didn't get to see that many fish. The reason why I don't have any video clips of the fish I did see because I was retarded and I put the GoPro on top of my videos, unfortunately, because I was not smart about it. But again, other than my wife feeling like I was trying to drown around this excursion, it was a lot of fun. These guys, like, a lot of energy, very entertaining. The margaritas, they were definitely pre-mixed. They were like store reef. Obviously the Great Barrier Reef in Australia allowed to obviously touch the animal and plant life because for those who don't know, animal and plant life, because putting us all down to fit. Hey, look, a fucktard to band. Congratulations, douchebag. Fortunately, when they make it in a stream yards or stream, fuck, I can't remember what is this called again? Social Stream Ninja. I can't delete it. For those who don't know, coral reefs are very fragile. Oh, there we go. I had a lot of fun on the excursion. It was definitely exhausting because I'm definitely out of shape, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would like to be more touch the animal and plant life because do it again in a heartbeat, but I would. I don't know how I did that, but I did. Because for those who don't know, coral reefs are very fragile. I had a lot of fun on the excursion. It was definitely exhausting because I'm definitely out of shape, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would like to be more in shape the next time I do it. But my wife because for those who don't know, coral reefs are very that part out so we can go ahead. Oh no, please don't. There we go. Why are we doing this? Delete that. Delete that. Okay. I don't know what was happening with that clip. We'll include that in the other video. So we're going to dump that out. This is going to be us in Costa Maya, and we're getting to the end of the video. We're not less than 30 minutes. I have absolutely failed. I am not. Yeah. Now, one of the reasons why we did the snorkeling excursion in Costa Maya, the other thing I think was swimming with sharks. They also had swimming with dolphins. Other than that, Costa Maya didn't have a lot of excursions that we were very interested in, which actually worked out in a favor because, like I said, that snorkeling excursion was pretty short. It was the only time my wife and I actually got to explore the port and do some shopping. I know it is better to see the country you're visiting by getting out of these touristy, trappy cruise ports areas, but we didn't really have the time or experience to do something like that. So this worked out perfectly for us to be able to stay in port, grab some dinner, and my dinner was delicious. I had a whole flounder, as you saw earlier in the picture, and she had some enchiladas. But we had a good time. We did some shopping. I got myself 2 bottles of tequila. I got myself a bottle of tequila and another drink, or alcoholic beverage that I don't remember what it's called, but it tasted like Jägermeister, and the guy described it to me as Mexican Jägermeister. I can barely speak English, so I'm not even going to attempt to act like I could say this in Spanish. So we're just going to leave it at that. The port was actually pretty cool, though. They had a lot of swimming pools to hang out with. Now, in order to be using the chairs, or if you were going to one of the bars in the pool, you had to be ordering something, either eating or drinking something. Obviously, you can't eat in the pool, but you can drink in the pool. And if you're going to use one of the chairs, you had to have something you order, whether it was a drink or some food. So that's something to keep in mind. I do say if we go to Costa Maya again, we either swim with the dolphins or we just spend the day at the port or stay on the ship. Maybe even stay at the port for a little bit to get some food and then maybe do some little shopping. Then we would go back on the ship because from what I've heard, the best time to be on the ship is on port days because a lot of people will be off the ship and you will be having no lines for anything, for any of the bars on the ship, for any of the entertainment, for any of the rides. If like ours just had a small little water park with some slides, and then the pools would be pretty much empty. So a little pro tip for anybody considering doing a cruise, stay on the ship on port day, especially if it's a port you're not interested in. Now right here is our final show that we did. Like actual show is called Flick, and there's Adam, our cruise director. They did a little mock red carpet event for this. It was kind of fun to watch. We walked, that first picture you saw was us walking past it, and then they had cameras set up to record him interviewing people as they were walking the red carpet, which is pretty neat. A lot of fun, a good way to be engaging with the audience and stuff. And like I said, Flick was entertaining. My favorite part was when they did the James Bond segment. They did what was the song? I don't remember what the song was called. What was the song? Oh, you know what I forgot to do?
Should you choose to accept it.
Skyfall. I'm going to get rid of all that. Bump this probably down to 35 because it's going to be pretty loud. She belts it, the music gets loud too. We're not going to do that whole thing there. Be the end of the video, right? No. A lot from the shows. We can probably cut out a lot of the show. We don't need all that. We'll have that for the other video. What is this? End it on the piano bar and the alchemy bar. And that would be a good way to summarize and wrap up our trip and my overall thoughts on Carnival, Carnival Legend, and cruises. Going on a cruise. I know people are like Carnival Legend, or Carnival is a budget cruise line and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? It may be budget, but I had a blast with it. Sup, chair fart content. What's up, noobs? How you doing? Sorry, I was like completely distracted, like editing my video and talking to myself. What are you up to, noobs? If you guys are not following Noobs a lot, he is the guy that I joined last Friday late in the evening to play some party animals with. So if you guys are not checking Noobs a lot out, make sure you click the icon next to his name and drop him a follow. Chair fart content jerk. What an absolute jerk. All right, I'm going to get back to recording this segment, and then I got to do my summary. What is this? Don't need all this either. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that. We'll save that for the other video. The piano bar portion is going to be reduced quite a bit too. So I need to wrap up this video, and then hopefully I'll have this uploaded tomorrow. What time you guys think is the best time to upload a video? I know Rumble's not the greatest. Well, see, I premiere my videos to help my uploads get more traction. So what do you think is, if to upload said video, what time do you think would be the best time to upload? No worries, you do what you got to do. Ignore me harder. It makes you harder when I ignore you noobs. I know that. I know that. It's like an abusive relationship. Shoot, I just realized I gotta wrap up the stream. I didn't even realize I've gone that far into it. So I'll probably finish editing this video tomorrow, offline, and then it'll hopefully be uploaded. I'll probably what, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? You think it would be good? No. Yes, 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because tomorrow I'm doing later FB. Thank you for hanging out with us, and I hope you have a good dinner. I'm about to go have dinner. That's probably the reason why we're doing this. Wrapping this up, but tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know I got on early. Speaking of which, I probably will be streaming a lot earlier than normal for the next couple days, with the exception of Tuesdays and Fridays, because of my new schedule, because I'm not working anymore. I'm doing some training and stuff. Best time to upload 12 on the that's a lie, noobs. That's a lie. But tomorrow night I'll be live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time doing War Thunder with Blues Nut and Amish Zaku. Just Morg will be joining us, as well as Outlander, but neither of them stream, but you'll still hear their lovely voices in the background. And like I said, look for this video to be posted on this channel, the Hobbies channel, later this week, either tomorrow, or it will be tomorrow. We're going to go for 2 p.m. tomorrow. I think that's what we're going to go for. I'm going to do a premiere. So I will be hanging out in chat, but you will be just hearing me talking, and it won't be live. Well, it will be live, but you'll see me chatting live. You won't hear me talking live. So I appreciate every single one of you being here. If you're new to the channel, please drop a follow. I do a lot of astrophotography stuff, which I'm looking to get back into. My laptop, I got to do some updates to one of the softwares I use for astrophotography. It requires me to do some coding, some tweaking, which is something I need to be in the right mindset for, because I'm bad and I'm impatient. But once that's done, we'll do some astrophotography streams. I'm hoping to get back to model kit building once I get caught up on all my video edits. And we'll do some fishing videos, maybe some fishing live streams in the future. We'll see how that has to go. But if you guys enjoy the stream, drop a follow and a like if you haven't already. And guys, I will see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time playing War Thunder. That will be on my gaming channel. And guys, party content. Thanks, noobs. I appreciate it. But don't go anywhere, because we're gonna go ahead and find somebody to raid before we call it a night. Let's see who's live right now. If it's noobs, we'll raid him, but he doesn't usually stream during the week. He usually just streams on Fridays, any games. Let's see, who do I see? Somebody I haven't raided in a while, and that you know what? We'll do Galaxy Red. We'll raid Galaxy Red. I'm not usually able to catch a stream, so because he streams early. So make sure you yell air raid in chat, spam his channel with emotes, likes, and follows. Show him some love and some real hype. And guys, let me go ahead and do this proper outro. And guys, I appreciate you all hanging out with me. It's been a lot of fun. I know I'm earlier than normal, but it's like I said, during this, for the next 4 months, I'll probably be streaming pretty early because of the new program I'm into. And then we'll see what happens after the 4 months, because I got to be starting looking for a new job. Unless by some miracle I start making about, was it $3,600 a month on through streaming, whether it's through Rumble, ad revenue, rants, subscriptions, or through my merch store. But I gotta make that money if I'm gonna make this a full-time thing. So anyway, guys, that's enough of me rambling on. We're gonna wrap the stream up. I appreciate you all being here. Again, we're gonna raid Galaxy. He is playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. He's a VTuber, and he's been a guy that's been hanging out in my chat for a long time until he had his eye surgery. And now he's able to stream himself, which I'm happy for him. So we're gonna help him get there. He's at 120 followers. We'll see if we can bump him up past that number and show him some love. So everybody, take it easy, have a good one, and I'll catch you tomorrow.